Okay guys, hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to continue on this relationship divine union chat because I think there's so much to say and we are really cusping into a profound relationship portal, guys. And I mean, it's just a sense I have and that I have had throughout my life, but I mean, I'm like I spoke in, I think it was the Capricorn video last night. I don't know if you picked up on that or caught that one. I was just speaking about Capricorn, Pluto and Capricorn completing itself this year, and that it's been this long 16-year cycle. And for the last while, and I don't know the details specifically, my astrologer is the Leo King, but I do know some astrology, but I'm not as good as him. So if you want to go deep, go there. But I like to tie it into life force and the evolution of humanity, the ascension process, yoga, all of these sorts of things. And we have had the North and South Node on the Aries-Libra axis for a bit now. And that, again, has been priming us and squeezing out the old relationship stuff. Okay, so now as we prepare to shift into the Pisces-Virgo eclipse axis, and like these nodes where they hang out, like they're affecting all of humanity. And even if you're not like super into astrology, just like bear with me for a moment because I'm going to get back to the grid of it. But I want to point out that in the cosmos, there is a timing mechanism for shifting paradigms. And that's happening as we have major planets at the end of their signs, we have the nodes switching, we have especially Pluto getting ready to move into Aquarius, which marks a like 16-year cycle. So we have a huge cycle ahead of us. And I have a very strong feeling, and having watched the readings going out too, that this is a time for a divine partnership, but we have to kind of like filter out. And I'm recording this on the Pisces lunar eclipse, the full moon lunar eclipse. And this is the vibe I'm feeling, like we got to get down to it in ourselves. And like we may be even needing to take some time to do that, to go through a purification, to go through a renewal, to like get to know ourselves and sort through some of this past wounding and trauma that we've been in, like the types of relationships which have been up in the collective. And if you didn't watch the Divine Union video before this one, please go back and watch it and come to this one second. So this is coming up. So this means like, and I'm prompted to do this because I sometimes get on and like find a flick to watch to just kind of unwind, and I let my subconscious percolate up some thoughts and ideas, and sometimes I get an inspiration. But I've been so like, I mean, I like a good romance, but it's like they're all the same. And I'm scanning through it and I'm like, there's absolutely nothing that anyone can access, truly, almost not, unless you pick a period piece, and even those, it's still not to par. Like there's a few sparse ones, and if you know one that depicts divine partnership, please do let me know. But I'm scanning and I'm like, there aren't any models for divine partnership, for sacred union. There's no template that humanity is watching. There's no movies that are showing this, right? Because it's very much a different thing going on than what we see in the movies. And what we see in the movies is largely like the romance part, right? Like the new feeling of love. And no matter how like Twitter pated you are or whatever, there's still like this newness. And of course, there's some initiatory phases where there's uncertainty and there's running away, or there's, you know, going to a thing that's not really right for you and then having to make a new soul decision. Those things are depicted. But then we get a little bit deeper into the relationship and we kind of lose the storyline, and we all hate the sequels after the happily ever after, like they're never as good, right? Because now we're getting into what you might say is the humdrum and the mundane. But so what is the way that divine partnership shifts in the new paradigm that's different from the old? Like, that's a conversation that we can begin to have and explore together. So first of all, we have this idea of conditional love versus unconditional love, right? But there is a standard behind this, okay? Because a lot of people, the mistake is thinking unconditional love means just anything goes. Like all the bad behavior goes, we just love it and forgive the person, right? You know, like at that point, when it's just like so much stuff to have to overlook and love, then we're not really loving ourselves, right? So there is a standard, a baseline, where if you're going to enter into next level relationship or divine relationship, there's sort of a base level. It's like base camp, right? Like you at least have to make it to this place where you understand that you are responsible for how you're showing up. And you take some kind of pride in that, not like a negative pride, but you're like, you know, I do the work on myself. Like I reflect upon what comes up in myself. That kind of has to be a baseline. So that also means you will have had to have gone through other relationships. You know, most likely we're not coming into divine union completely fresh and new, though we will have those going forward as divine couples manifest. And some of the younger generation, I do see that some of you are coming in just like on fire in that way, but maybe it's like the little bit older crowd, we have been navigating old paradigm for so long that now as we're getting to the crossroads, it's like we're the bridge people. We're helping transform the old way of relating into the new way of relating, almost like we're moving a Rubik's Cube around. We're like, okay, we've tried that combo. That doesn't work. This. And now we get to this place, okay? So in this place, we have two independent people, but they're not like, there is a phase of independence where you cut away from codependency and you know, focus on yourself and doing things for yourself and not needing approval from other people. This is good. So then we come to a place of interdependence where we recognize we're actually better with someone, not as a codependent, but as a team, and that you can get more done together as a team, and you can, you know, do your deep work together as a team because you have someone to bounce off of, and but still both taking responsibility when, hey, I need some space right now, or hey, I'm doing my artistic thing, and you know, honoring and respecting specific boundaries and so forth. That's something that is maybe a new territory for a lot of people, okay? Because feelings, if you haven't done some of the inner work on your feelings, which I really look at as trapped emotions. So I'm an emotion code practitioner. I work with this for 8-9 years now. And it's so effective and so like helpful and profound for finding where we have old, trapped, stored up, you know, like energy blocks basically of old emotions that actually are running the subconscious mind. They're actually running our actions and our thoughts because they were things that happened to us that we didn't fully process, or we repressed, or we held in, or we got angry and there was not a completion on that. So those things that are held in, they're creating a specific ripple and wave that precedes us. So people don't even actually see us. They see our wounds. They see these suppressed emotions. Okay, so that's a tough one to wade into, okay? Especially if you've been working on your own stuff and releasing it and you're feeling more, you know, pure. And by pure, I just mean you feel clearer that you're presenting what is actually here. So this is where, you know, like emotion code and other self-work can be really helpful to help you release some of that trap stuff so you can show up in the most present and authentic place. And then we're avoiding a lot of triggers, right? Because the triggers come from they're triggered because they're an emotion that's stuck that needs to be processed out, you know, through some kind of emotional release or consciousness practice. So when we work out a lot of those, that doesn't mean there's never going to be a trigger. And that's actually some of the beauty of relationship, because those triggers are alchemical points of magic. Chemical points of magic. And here's a new thought for divine union, and one of my favorite little nuggets of wisdom left to us by others who've traveled this road before, that it's like grit or sand in the psyche when we have a trapped emotion, like it's a little trapped like granule. And when it gets pushed on, because it does want to release, it does want to move, it hurts. It's like someone's scratching you deeply within. But that scratching is also like an alchemical fire, like in the runes, the Natala is the rune that looks like an axe that's kind of squished a little bit, and it's like two sticks rubbing together. So that trigger, that statement, or, you know, whatever that your partner or you said that triggered the other to like feel some heat, the resistance, okay, that's because there's some alchemical nugget. There's something that was base metal, dross, heavy, old, negative way of looking at things, less empowered way of looking at things. It's stuck there. It's probably like a little victim piece, because that's like a lower version of our consciousness. And we get the whole gamut, right? But when we find that piece, when our partner helps us to find that piece, then consciousness can go, ooh, we found it. Here we go. And like the both of you can shift into doing the work together right then on the thing that you two found together. That's different than self-work, though it has a very similar tone, right? But now you have two people whose job it is to not take it personally, and instead be like the surgeon or like the therapist with it, and be like, okay, like, what do we need to do to move this granule out and allow the energy to flow there so that you and I can have a more fluid partnership, right? So let's just take an example. Say there's an abandonment issue in your past, and you've been abandoned, you know, like that's how you registered it. People left you, previous relationships left you, maybe even a parent left when you were younger. And so you have this like granule around abandonment, around being left to yourself without someone, right? When you were with them and then they left. Okay, so this nugget, abandonment, is stuck somewhere in your psyche. So then when your partner, who is meant to be your divine union, is like, I'm going to go on a fishing trip with the buddies, that little nugget flares up, okay? And in the old paradigm relationship module, it would flare up and you'd be like, don't go, I hate it when you go on these things. And you'd be like, what's your problem? I just need some time. And you like, it would be a miscommunication. It would be a mishap, instead of both parties being aware enough to go, oof, I don't know what it is, honey, but there's something about you telling me you're leaving that's like, I can feel that fire. I can feel like a trigger point. And the partner going, oh, okay, so let's see if we can get to it, babe. What is it? What do you feel when I say that? Is there a memory that comes up? And like assist the other person in finding the root, right? Well, I don't know. It just makes me really emotional. Okay, babe, maybe like go ahead and cry. Do you want me to hold you to help get it out? Because you're understanding together that it actually isn't either one of your problem. In that moment, it's the grain, it's the stuck granule, and it's a collective one. You know, it was taught by the society, or it was taught by your upbringing. And it's not just in you, it's in the wholeness too. So when we address it that way, with love and respect, that this is carrying a potent energy that when we find it and release it together, all of reality will change a bit, because with love we approached that thing, and understanding and mastery, even if you're not like super good at it, but you're attempting to come from heart. And this is really what this is all about, like the higher level relationship, or the new paradigm for relationship, or divine union, or whatever you want to say, sacred union, is a heart. It's truly an open heart based union. It's not coming from mind. It's not like coming from groin. It's not coming from fantasy land. It's coming from the desire to give and receive love, because that's the point at which you are in your journey. Like, that's actually a need of consciousness, to experience that mutual love. And like, we get scared because we get into that place, and then all the triggers and things start unwinding, and we take that as a sign that the relationship is wrong, instead of, oh, there's magical points here that we get to work on together and do the work together. So that's one thing I want to talk about. That's my first piece on this journey of conversation. And if you have any thoughts on that, then I would love to hear it. But I do have a book on Amazon called The Alchemy of Relationship, and it is based on this idea that we are in an alchemical equation with each other. So I utilize a specific Lemurian deck that my teacher channeled through, that is specifically for the purpose of alchemical transformation. So they're concepts to help one do this work, do this transformation work. And so, like, if you're interested in checking that out, that's on Amazon, and it is a journey in and of itself. And maybe like just give some good ideas to help guide the process. But the most important thing is to, again, like that concept, don't take it personal, step out, notice, hold the trigger, and practice doing the work on that. Like, that is such a beautiful thing. Such a beautiful thing. I know we think it's funny when people fight in movies or whatever, or we get off a little bit if we get to really get into our rage, but ultimately that's where the trauma and the damage in relationship comes from, is when we just like let off on each other. And when we also take that personally. So both sides of that. So, and how we remedy that, yes, is like coming back to self, loving self, accepting self, doing the inner work first, so that we can take that same practice and do it with another person. And then it gets really delicious. Okay, that's all for this episode. I hope to see you again for some more chats on divine. Okay, much love.